Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead again on Porch Time today. Guys, you may hear some noise in the background today. Fall is hitting the air. Hasn't got here yet, but the neighbors are all cleaning their property. They're trimming limbs out of trees, and lawnmowers are running, and kids are hollering, and there's all kinds of things going on all around us at this point. So we've got birds, we've got chickens, we've got all kinds of animals, around us here that may be making noise. But you know what? That is what this life is all about. Now, what I want to talk about today seems to be something that I'm hearing a lot of here lately. And I'm going to title it maybe a little bit different than what we might think. But it's going to be called Facing the Giants. Because in life, there's a lot of things in life that a lot of us call obstacles. And in order to be an overcomer, we have to learn how to word things. Now, first off, we have to get rid of the word problems and obstacles and start changing it to the word challenge. Once we start seeing things as challenges, then these major issues that flare up in our life that prevent us from achieving our goals in life seem to shrink. And guys, it's all about psychology and the way the mind works. When we use the proper words in particular things, it tends to take the scariness away from the giant. And that's why I titled this Facing the Giants. Because in everybody's life, we have giants in our life that make us or break us, that either keep us from achieving our goals or they hold us back tremendously. I'm no different than you in that area. I myself have my giants in life. I read a book. I can't quite remember the author at this time. I read this book probably 15 years ago. It's called The Dream Giver. That book changed my life forever. And it's about facing the giants in life. Now guys, a lot of you have a dream of owning homesteads. A lot of you have dreams of retiring and achieving a dream once you retire. But we need to stop and we need to think for just a moment about how those dreams can come to fruition. I'm trying to be very careful with my words because this is kind of tricky ground. People can be offended very easy if they wear their feelings on their shirt sleeves. Here last night, I was talking to Amanda, probably 3 nights ago now. I was talking to Amanda from Freedom Acres, and we were talking about being offended when people say things. And there's a verse in the Bible in Psalms 119, 165 that says, "Great peace have they which love thy law, and that nothing shall offend them." And guys, that's what we have to come to grips with. We have to quit letting things offend us. We live in a society today that is so politically correct that if we say one word wrong, people become offended, which is, to me, it's a sign of ignorance. But to some people, it's a real big deal to them. I never criticize anyone for feeling, that way. But in my own mind, I realize, wow, just how shallow some people's thinking is. And it tells me that how far they are from knowing the Lord as He should be known. Because true peace, true happiness, and true joy comes from knowing your Creator. It doesn't come from you. It doesn't come from tangible items in this world. It doesn't come from your friends. It comes from a personal relationship with your Creator. And having that personal relationship with your Creator makes facing the giants so much easier, because there is none larger than Him. He is actually I'm trying to look for the correct word there. He is your rock, your foundation upon which everything is to be built. And a house, the scripture says, a house that's divided will never stand. And that's one thing we find in a lot of homesteads today. We have husbands and wives that are on totally different pages and trying to homestead. One wants to homestead, one don't want to homestead. Or either if they do homestead, they both have different goals about the homestead. And we have to be extremely careful, because those giants will cause us to be a failure at what we do, and then we can become severely discouraged, depressed, and all this kind of stuff, because we never achieved the goals that we set out for, because we never learned how to face the giants. We become unequally yoked together, and if we're not careful, the older we get, the further we will grow apart, because we learned that we have nothing in common. Rather than trying to build upon something, we go our separate ways, and the massive giant steps in, and our relationship ceases to exist the older that we get. And guys, when certain challenges come in our life, whether they be financial, marital, physical, man-made, whatever these challenges are that happen to us in our life, some leave us disabled, some leave us disfigured, some leave us financially broken, some leaves us emotionally broken. And when that happens, those giants, if we're not careful, will overcome us. And we lose reality with who we really are. And then our life just simply becomes an existence. And the giant has won, because we don't really see a way that we can overcome that giant. And guys, I'm here to tell you, there's hope. Any giant that you face can be overcome. I've overcome many obstacles in my life, as y'all who've watched my videos know about some of the things that I've faced in life. I've faced the loss of a wife. I've faced almost dying in a car accident. I've been broken all to pieces. I've had to learn how to walk a couple of times. Y'all have watched my videos. You know I've faced these things. And my Creator has been so good to me, because He's been right there beside me all the way. Just like the little plaque that I see in a lot of churches, and I see them in a lot of places that I go, businesses and stuff, called footprints in the sand. When I felt like I was my loneliest and as I was at my lowest, I looked and there was only one set of prints in the sand. And I'm like, Father, where are you? And He said, it was at that time, my child, that I was carrying you. And you see, when we have that kind of relationship with our Creator, it's at that moment that what we call problems or obstacles in life simply become challenges. And it makes it a lot easier to bear. Scripture also says, cast your burdens upon me. My yoke is easy and my burden's light. And to completely understand that, you have to understand agricultural and farming, and how oxes and yokes were used to move heavy loads, how to take a heavy burden and make it light. Guys, homesteading is a great lifestyle, but it's not for everybody. That's the one thing. If you go into homesteading thinking that I'm going to live this wonderful life, I'm not going to have to go to work every day, I'm going to be able to get up in the morning and go out and just drink my coffee, and I'm going to be able to enjoy my life, and I'm going to be able to just sit back and enjoy nature to its fullest, then you might be living a fantasy life, because homesteading doesn't work that way. As a matter of fact, homesteading will probably make you have to work more than you do on a public job, because a public job is, from some people, it's 7 to 3, 9 to 5, depends on what your schedule is. But you get up in the morning and you go to work. When you get there, that's what you do until you leave and come home, and that job ceases to exist for you. Homesteading is not that way. Homesteading is 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and so many people that I see that go into homesteading run into these massive giants, and it knocks their feet out from under them, and they're like, oh my word, I never knew that this was the way it was. It's so much work. Building infrastructure, raising your own food, fighting the insects, fighting wildlife coming in, destroying your crops, fighting the fact that the heat, the cold, breakdowns on equipment. Oh my word, I've hurt my back. Oh, my legs are giving me problems today. There's all kinds of challenges that comes with this particular type of lifestyle. And if you're not careful, the giants will become enormous and you won't be able to overcome them. I'm reading some books. I'm reading a book right now written by an individual. I'm not going to call his name. But this guy talks about setting goals. Long-term goals versus 1-year goals versus 1-month goals versus 1-week goals. And he says it's funny how we run like a rat to try and get all this stuff accomplished, to try to meet some huge goal in life, when we start meeting our weekly goals, we come to the realization that a lot of the big goals that we set really aren't that important, because when you start trying to reach your small goals, you learn to prioritize things in your life. And when you start prioritizing things in your life, the big things that you thought were priorities, lots of them cease to exist, because as you travel along this thing we call the journey in life, our priorities change. There's lots of mornings I get up here and I have a list of things that I would like to get accomplished that day. But I go out and then all of a sudden I realize that something has happened during the night, and now my priorities have changed, because I must now do something different that day. And as I do something different that day, everything changes for me for that day, and all my priorities change, all my goals change for that day, which at the end of the week, the weekly goal I had ceases to exist, and I realize that when I get there, that goal really wasn't as important as I thought it was. And I come to the conclusion that life is to be lived on a daily basis, and we're to enjoy the journey day by day. Because the truth of the matter is, none of us are promised tomorrow. There's lots of times I've said that, well, there's been a couple of times I said, I've got to get up in the morning, I've got to get on the tractor, I've got to do this. And notice I'm using the phrase, I've got to. And that night, I had a physical issue happen to me and had to go to a hospital and be in a hospital for the next 3 days. And I come home after that, and I come to the realization I never got to do the things that I really wanted to do, or I thought that I had to do. And you know what? Life still goes on. Nothing's changed. And not to say that I won't go on and do the things that I thought I had to do at that moment. They're just a little later down the road, and I actually accomplished them and come to the realization that my got tos didn't have to be when I thought they were. So just come to the realization that this thing in life we call life is nothing more than a journey. And if you're waiting till you retire to enjoy that journey, then you've been fooled. You should live your life every day as if it was your last day. It's only until you can do that that you'll realize the true joy of living. And some of y'all have heard me say in my videos before, I've had people ask me the question, what do you do for a living? And it's almost funny to me. What do I do for a living? I live for a living. That's what I do. Now, if you want to know what I do to earn money, then we'll talk about that. But I live for a living. I've learned that what I do to earn money has nothing to do with living. Living is my journey in this world. And how I live determines how happy I'll be with my relationship between me and my Creator. Because you see, I look to my Creator to figure out my journey in this life and where I fit in this life. It wasn't until I come to the realization where it says in Scripture, come out from among them, my people, that I come to this place. I was like, come out from among them. What does that really mean? Guys, we live in troublesome times. And these troublesome times that we live in, if we're not careful, we get caught up in them. And this age that we live in called AI will probably be the age that causes the demise and the collapse of this country eventually. Because if you go back and you study throughout history, any nation that ever actually climbed up to a particular point, once it reached that point, everybody become relaxed, everybody become successful, and the games and the sports and all of these things, the lusts of life, all these things begin to set in these nations. And as a result, what happened was the decline of the nation because of a three-letter word called sin, S-I-N, and it led to the collapse of an economy. Now that this AI technology has come into our country, and I'm not saying all AI technology is bad, it's how it's used that makes it bad. We live in a microwave society because of it. We look for instant gratification. No one is willing to wait for anything that they want, like our forefathers did. We want to just go put it on a card, or we want to charge it. We want to borrow money because we want it, and we want it now. We don't want to wait. And because of that, we are becoming a people that is harder and harder to satisfy. And the state in which we exist in becomes extremely hard for us. The Apostle Paul in the Scripture said, in whatsoever state I'm in, I've learned to be content. He said, I've had much and I've had little, and I've learned to be content in both areas. And guys, that's where we need to be at today. Whatever we have and whatever our position is in life at this time, we don't need to become discouraged about it. We need to learn to be content until things change. Or you know what? It could be just our plight in life. I've been in a position in life where I made a lot of money. I'm in a position where I have almost no money. I'm just as happy with having a little bit of money as I am when I have a lot of money, because I've learned to be content in whatsoever state I'm in. Now, does it mean I have to change my goals? Yes. Does it mean I have to change my way of thinking? Yes. There's challenges that come about, and those challenges have to be met when I face the giants. And when you face the giants with your Creator by your side, those giants cease to be huge, and they dwindle down, and they're small. So remember, facing the giants is something we will all go through in life. Probably the one giant, I'm going to say there's one giant that I know of today that probably everyone under the sound of my voice today faces this very same giant. And my friends, this giant is not from your Creator. It's from the devil. And that giant is called fear. Fear is not of God. Scripture says, "Great peace have they which love my law, and that nothing shall offend them." So we shouldn't be offended. We shouldn't have fear in our life. There's verses all throughout the Scriptures that deals with dealing with fear. And when we learn that fear is not from the Creator, but it is from the old devil himself, whatever name you want to call him, Lucifer, Satan, Hasatan, Satan, the morning star, whatever. There's lots of names that he has. And guys, if you can be held in fear, you will never achieve your goals in life. Do I have fears? Yes. Do you have fears? Yes. We all face them. And it is a huge giant in our life. And guys, it's the one giant that we should all try to overcome as humans. Because once we can learn to begin to conquer that, then it's at that point we can achieve and we can succeed in life. There's a character in the Scripture by the name of Job who faced that very thing. He said, "I feared a fear, and it came upon me." Guys, we're no different. The things we fear are the things that seem to plague us more and more every day of our life. So guys, I just want to leave you with this one thought today. Face the giants with the right attitude, with your Creator by your side, and know that the things that you face are just mere challenges. They're not problems, and they're not obstacles. So thank you from Deep South Homestead.